Every moment you spend clinging to old excuses, old fears, and old identities, you shrink away from your true potential. You wear the same mask every day, repeating the same story, telling yourself the same lies about why you can't change. But deep down, you know this isn't who you were meant to be. You weren't born to settle. You weren't born to be predictable or average. You were born to become unrecognizable, to kill the excuses that chain you, to reinvent yourself so completely that the world, and most importantly you, can no longer recognize the limits you once accepted. Today is the day you decide to stop hiding behind who you were and start creating who you're destined to become. You've been carrying the same image of yourself for years, the same thoughts, the same limitations, the same invisible ceiling. And maybe, just maybe, you've started to believe that this is all you are, that what you've seen is all there is. But here's the brutal truth. The version of you that exists right now is not permanent. It's not final. It's not even real. It's a product of patterns, repetition, and comfort. Reinvention doesn't begin with a plan. It begins with a death. The death of the old identity, the quiet burial of everything you've clung to out of fear. The transformation you're searching for will never be found in improvement. Improvement is about making the current self a little better. Reinvention is about making the current self obsolete. No one truly changes until they're tired of their own story, until they can't stand the sound of their own excuses, until the mirror starts to reflect something that feels like betrayal because it no longer matches the fire within. That's when you know it's time to burn it all down. Everything the world expects from you, everything you've told yourself about who you are, or everything you've accepted just to avoid the pain of change. You can't build the life you crave on top of an identity that was built for survival. You must destroy the mask that's keeping you ordinary. The mind resists this because it fears the unknown. But the unknown is where greatness lives. It's where the new you waits, the you that doesn't care about the opinions of others, the you that doesn't need permission to rise. That version of you doesn't tweak habits. It obliterates limits. You can't keep parts of your old self and expect to walk into a new reality. This isn't a renovation. It's demolition. Reinvention demands that you unlearn the lies, erase the limitations, and rip away every layer that was built by fear. This process will be uncomfortable. You will lose people. You will lose patterns. You will lose pieces of your past that once felt like home. But in their place, you will gain something far more valuable, clarity. Clarity about who you truly are when you are no longer performing, when you are no longer conforming, when you finally realize that fitting in was never the goal. Standing out was. And the only way to stand out is to become someone no one saw coming, including the old version of you. This isn't about arrogance. It's about ownership. It's about refusing to live one more day as a watered-down version of your potential. You weren't born to be predictable. You weren't born to stay stuck in the stories you didn't even choose. You were born to become, to evolve, to rise. And that means stepping into the fire of change and letting it consume everything that no longer serves you. The fire won't destroy you. It will refine you. The people who change the world don't look like everyone else because they don't live like everyone else. They don't ask for transformation. They command it. They don't negotiate with their weaknesses. They eliminate them. And that's the path you must walk now. It begins by rejecting the idea that you have to stay who you've always been. It begins by realizing that the most powerful force in your life is your decision to change, completely, unapologetically, and permanently. You have nothing to lose except the version of yourself that was built on fear. You have nothing to fear except remaining the same. And you have everything to gain, clarity, purpose, power, by becoming unrecognizable. Not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, but to finally become someone who no longer runs from their potential, someone who no longer waits for permission, someone who looks in the mirror and sees a stranger, not because they've lost themselves, but because they finally found who they were always meant to be. Excuses are seductive. They sound reasonable. They sound intelligent. They even sound protective, like they're keeping you from failing, from suffering, from embarrassment. But the truth is far uglier. Excuses are quiet killers. They don't scream. They whisper. They wrap themselves around your potential and strangle it slowly until one day you look up and realize that years have passed and nothing has changed. Every excuse you make is a vote for your limitations. a declaration that your past is stronger than your will, that your fear is greater than your desire. They may feel like shields, but they're really shackles. They keep you locked in the same identity, the same routine, the same results. Excuses are lies disguised as logic, and most people spend their entire lives obeying them. You have to become ruthless about your own thoughts. You have to hunt down the justifications that are holding you back and expose them for what they are. Fear in costume. I don't have time. That's not truth. That's a priority problem. I'm not ready. That's not fact. That's fear. I've never done this before. That's not a wall. That's an invitation. Excuses are the language of the mind when it's scared to grow. And you can't afford to let fear write your story. The people who rise, the people who reinvent, the people who become unrecognizable, they all share one trait in common. They silence their excuses before their excuses silence them. There will never be a perfect time. There will never be a moment when everything feels right. That's not how transformation works. It requires stepping forward while still hearing the noise of doubt. It demands action in the presence of uncertainty. The old self will scream for safety. It will invent reasons to wait, to stall, to think it through. But reinvention doesn't wait. It moves, it acts, it does the uncomfortable thing over and over until comfort becomes irrelevant. The more excuses you destroy, the more freedom you gain. And freedom is the fuel of the new self. The more responsibility you take, the less room there is for excuses to live. It's time to stop negotiating with weakness. Stop debating your potential. Stop postponing the version of yourself that's been screaming to be born. Every time you make an excuse, you delay your evolution. You give power to the very thing you're trying to escape. You're not here to defend your limits. You're here to shatter them. Excuses are the chains of the old you. If you want to become someone new, those chains must be broken, not gently, not slowly, but completely. Because the truth is simple. You can make excuses or you can make progress. But you can't make both. And every second you waste choosing comfort over growth is a second stolen from the life you were meant to live. You are not a fixed being. You are not stuck in stone. You are not defined by the mistakes you've made or the labels the world has handed you. You are the architect of your identity. And just like an architect, you can demolish the old blueprint and draw a new one. You can walk away from who you've been and step into who you decide to become. But to do that, you have to take full ownership of your power. Not some of it, not part of it, all of it. You are not waiting to discover yourself. You are here to create yourself. Your future is not buried somewhere to be found. It is forged through intentional design. Everything changes when you stop reacting to life and start choosing your role in it. Most people live on autopilot, operating from habits and mindsets they never questioned, never chose. They inherit beliefs. They copy behaviors, and they wonder why their life feels like a repeat of the past. But reinvention begins the moment you interrupt that cycle and say, no more. No more accepting limitations I didn't choose. No more replaying patterns that don't reflect my potential. No more letting the past define what the future must look like. You cannot carry the identity of yesterday and expect to experience a tomorrow that's different. It starts with a clear decision, a commitment to become someone new, not based on who others expect you to be, not based on who you've been, but based on who you know you must become. That version of you doesn't ask permission. That version of you doesn't shrink when faced with fear. That version of you is crafted moment by moment, decision by decision, thought by thought. And every time you act in alignment with that new self, you are laying a brick. Brick by brick, day by day, your new identity is being built. That's the process. That's the power. You don't need to wait for external validation to step into this transformation. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another sign. The fact that you're still breathing is the only signal you need. Reinvention is not a gift given to the chosen few. It's the right of anyone brave enough to reclaim control over who they are. But it comes at a price, your comfort, your excuses, and your willingness to let go of the familiar. You are the architect now. The question is, will you build a life that reflects your potential, or will you continue living in a structure designed by fear, doubt, and repetition? The choice is always yours. And the moment you realize that is the moment you finally take your power back. Comfort is the most dangerous addiction in the world. It doesn't ruin you overnight. It does it slowly, invisibly, and with your full cooperation. It feels safe. It feels familiar. But it is a trap disguised as peace. The truth is, every time you choose comfort over discomfort, you're choosing to stay the same. You're choosing to avoid growth, to avoid pain, to avoid the very process that would set you free. If you want to become unrecognizable, if you truly want to reinvent yourself, you have to break up with comfort. You have to learn how to fall in love with discomfort, because that's where the change lives. Comfort keeps you where it's warm, where nothing threatens your ego, where you never have to confront your limits. But what it doesn't tell you is that it also keeps you small. It keeps you predictable. It keeps you invisible. And the version of you that has the power to rise, to dominate, to transform, will never be born in that environment. It will only be born in challenge, in struggle, in the places where it hurts, where you want to give up, where everything inside you screams for an escape. That's the fire where the real you is forged. Not the improved you, the transformed you. You have to condition your mind to see discomfort not as something to avoid, but as something to seek. Every time you step into discomfort, you are stepping out of the identity that's kept you stuck. Every time you choose the harder path, the one that stretches you, the one that tests your focus and discipline, you are building the muscle of transformation. And just like a muscle, it grows through resistance. It grows through strain. If it's too easy, it's not changing you. If it doesn't challenge your patterns, it doesn't evolve your identity. Most people are trapped not by chains, but by couches, by routines that never push them, by environments that encourage mediocrity, by thoughts that say, why try harder when this is good enough? But good enough is the enemy of greatness. And greatness doesn't live in comfort. It lives in the unknown. It lives in risk. It lives in the places you've been afraid to go. To become unrecognizable, you have to become uncommon. You have to be the one who runs toward the storm, not away from it. Because while others are hiding from discomfort, you're using it as your weapon, as your teacher, as your fuel. You don't change by accident. You change when you decide that staying comfortable is no longer worth the cost. The real cost of comfort is your future. And if you want that future to look nothing like your past, then you need to make a habit of choosing what's difficult, what's uncomfortable, what's uncertain, because only in those moments do you meet the version of yourself that's been waiting to be born. Reinvention does not happen by chance. It happens through discipline. And not the kind of discipline you apply once in a while. It's the kind that cuts deep. The kind that shows up even when no one is watching. The kind that keeps moving even when motivation disappears. Discipline is the force that reshapes you. It takes your intention and grinds it into reality, no matter how much resistance stands in the way. If you want to become unrecognizable, discipline cannot be optional. It has to become who you are. Without discipline, your dreams stay as thoughts. Your goals stay as words. Your transformation stays as fantasy. People talk about what they want, but few are willing to pay the price. They want change, but they don't want consistency. They want results, but they don't want repetition. But nothing changes until your behavior changes. And your behavior will never change consistently unless discipline becomes the foundation. This is not about forcing yourself into misery. It's about mastering yourself. It's about becoming someone who follows through, not when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. The disciplined version of you doesn't need motivation. It doesn't need a perfect plan. It just needs a decision. One choice made again and again. One non-negotiable standard you refuse to lower. And every time you honor that standard, even when it hurts, even when it's boring, even when it's thankless, you are rewiring yourself. You are breaking down the old identity and constructing a new one. You're no longer driven by feelings. You're driven by purpose. And that is where true power lives. Most people let their emotions decide their actions. If they feel tired, they quit. If they feel uninspired, they wait. If they feel afraid, they retreat. But discipline ignores feelings. Discipline moves forward regardless of emotion. And that's the dividing line between those who change and those who repeat. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel. I care what I've committed to. That single mindset shift can alter everything. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Even small acts of discipline repeated daily stack into an identity that cannot be shaken. You don't rise by intensity, you rise by consistency, 1 hour at a time, one choice at a time, one standard at a time. Reinvention is not some dramatic overnight event. It's a slow, relentless climb built on the back of discipline. Every time you show up when it would have been easier not to, you're building the version of yourself that cannot be stopped. That version is forged in the fires of discipline. And when it finally emerges, it won't look anything like who you used to be. Your attention is not just a tool, it is your most valuable currency. Where it goes, your energy follows. And where your energy flows, your future is built. If you scatter your focus across distractions, you build a scattered life. If you allow noise to dominate your thoughts, you silence your own direction. The problem is never that people don't have the capacity to transform. The problem is they're too distracted to begin. They wake up with ambition, but give their attention to chaos. They have goals, but feed their minds with things that pull them away from those goals. If you want to reinvent yourself, you have to take control of your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Distraction is the assassin of transformation. It comes disguised as urgency, as entertainment, as rest. But what it really steals is clarity, time, and momentum. Every time you pick up your phone for no reason, every time you allow someone else's drama to enter your mind, every time you trade deep work for shallow tasks, you are surrendering pieces of the person you could be. Focus is not something you find. It is something you train. It is a discipline, a practice, a choice made repeatedly throughout the day. And it begins by deciding what truly matters and building your life around that decision. This is not about becoming robotic. This is about becoming intentional, about creating a mind that is hard to hijack, about setting boundaries with your time, your space, and your energy so that you no longer live at the mercy of distractions. The world is designed to pull you in every direction but inward. It wants you reactive, scattered, overstimulated. But the path to becoming unrecognizable is walked in silence, in focus, in discipline. You will never hear your true calling through the noise. You have to get quiet to get clear. You don't need to do more, you need to do less. But do it with more power, more presence, more intensity. Cut out what doesn't move you forward. Eliminate what feeds the old version of you. Your future isn't buried under complexity. It's hidden beneath the distractions you've allowed to clutter your path. The most successful transformations are not born from doing everything. They're born from doing the right few things with unwavering focus. Your mind is a weapon, but it's only sharp if it's directed. Take back your focus, protect it, prioritize it, because once you own your attention, you begin to own your life. And the moment you take full control of that focus, you'll feel the old version of yourself begin to fade, because it cannot survive in an environment of clarity, purpose, and unshakable direction. The true battle of reinvention doesn't begin in your actions. It begins in your mind. This is where everything is won or lost. Before the world ever sees your transformation, it has already taken place inside your thoughts. Your mind is the gatekeeper of your reality. What you allow to live there will either elevate you or imprison you. Most people lose this war long before they take their first step toward change. Not because they're incapable, but because they never confronted the enemy within. The limiting beliefs, the negative self-talk, the doubts passed down like curses. Reinventing yourself means stepping into the battlefield of the mind and taking complete control of what you believe, what you think, and what you repeat. Every thought carries weight. One negative thought can spiral into self-sabotage. One unchecked belief can become a ceiling you never break. That is why mental discipline is non-negotiable. If you want to become unrecognizable, you have to first become unrecognizable in the way you think. You must challenge every assumption that has kept you small. You must interrogate the voice that says you're not ready, not good enough, not built for more. That voice is not truth. It's programming. Programming that was installed through past failures, other people's fears, and a lifetime of playing it safe. But here's the truth. Your mind is programmable, and you hold the pin. To rewrite your identity, you must rewire your thoughts. And that process begins with awareness. Most people don't even realize the story they're repeating to themselves. But if you listen closely, it's always there. I can't. It's too late. I don't know how. These are not harmless phrases. They are commands. and the brain obeys them. Whatever you repeat, you reinforce. Whatever you reinforce becomes identity. So the work is simple but not easy. Interrupt the pattern. Replace the lies with new language. Speak to yourself with power, clarity, and conviction, even before you believe it. Because belief is not a requirement for change. It is a result of consistency. Every morning you wake up, you have a choice. You can run the same mental program that's kept you average, or you can begin installing a new one built on power, purpose, and persistence. The mind will resist at first. It will try to pull you back into comfort, into familiar thinking. But that's how you know you're moving forward. You don't need to be fearless. You need to be aware. Aware of your thoughts, aware of your language, aware of the internal world you're building, because that world creates everything else. Win the war within, and the outer world will follow. The person you want to become already exists in your mind. Now it's time to bring them into reality, one thought at a time. Reinvention requires courage, not just to face yourself, but to detach from what others think of you. Approval is one of the most addictive drugs ever created. It gives a temporary high, a moment of validation, a fleeting sense of acceptance. But beneath that surface is a quiet trap, because the more you chase approval, the more you shape yourself into something you're not. You begin adjusting your voice, your dreams, your identity, not for alignment with purpose, but for acceptance from people who may never even understand your journey. That approval becomes a leash, and if you don't cut it, it will drag you away from the life you were born to build. The truth is, you cannot become someone new while clinging to the opinions of the old crowd. You can't rise while worrying about who might judge you. You can't step into greatness while trying to be liked. Reinvention is not a group decision. It is a solo mission. Not everyone will understand your silence, your grind, your focus, and they're not supposed to. You are not changing to be admired. You are changing to be free, free from needing to explain yourself, free from shrinking to fit in, free from staying small to avoid criticism. Approval can't guide you to transformation. Only truth can. And the truth is, if you keep living for validation, you will never live in your own power. At some point, you have to stop asking for permission. Stop checking in with the world before making your next move. Stop filtering your goals through the lens of other people's comfort. This is your life, your mind, your future. And if they don't see your vision, that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to become so focused, so intentional, so deeply locked into your purpose that approval becomes irrelevant. You are not here to be understood. You are here to evolve. And evolution always threatens the familiar. Let them misunderstand you. Let them judge the version of you they no longer recognize. That's proof that you're growing. That's confirmation that you're no longer playing by the rules of the small. You weren't designed to be universally accepted. You were designed to become fully expressed. And that means leaving behind the need to be liked in order to become someone who is respected, not because of charm, but because of truth, consistency, and inner strength. Approval is cheap. It's given quickly and taken away faster. But authenticity is rare, it's heavy, it's earned. And when you choose to walk in authenticity instead of chasing applause, you finally free yourself to become everything they said you'd never be. Not because you proved them wrong, but because you finally decided to live without needing them to say you're right. Pain is not your enemy, it is your invitation. It's the gateway between who you were and who you're meant to become. Most people spend their lives avoiding pain, running from discomfort, numbing the very thing that is designed to transform them. But you can't reinvent yourself while clinging to ease. You can't become unrecognizable without walking through fire. Pain is not the punishment, it's the price. It sharpens you. It reveals you. It strips away the false layers and exposes the raw truth. And in that exposure, you either break or you build. Those who choose to build, despite the pain, are the ones who rise. The pain of change is temporary, but the pain of regret is permanent. You have to decide which you can live with. Pain is not optional if you're serious about growth. It shows up when you leave comfort behind. It shows up when you confront your weakness, when you let go of what no longer serves you, when you stretch into new levels of effort and endurance. It shows up when you stop lying to yourself and start demanding more. And that's exactly where transformation begins. Not when things feel good, but when they get hard and you keep going anyway. Pain introduces you to yourself. It shows you your limits, your fears, your breaking points. But it also shows you your power, because every time you keep moving through pain, you expand. Your tolerance increases. Your mind strengthens. Your spirit becomes resilient. You stop avoiding struggle and start embracing it, not because you love suffering, but because you love what's on the other side. And on the other side of pain is clarity, strength, and a version of you that doesn't flinch at adversity. There is no way to shortcut this process. No way to skip the discomfort and still get the reward. You have to walk through it. You have to feel the pressure and choose progress anyway. That's what makes you different. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. Reinvention is not just about change. It's about enduring the cost of that change without retreating. Every scar you earn is proof that you didn't quit. Every time you push past your limits, you're rewriting your story. You're becoming someone who refuses to be defined by pain, but is instead refined by it. Let the pain come. Let it do its work. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to show you what you're really made of. The ones who become unrecognizable are not the ones who avoid pain. They are the ones who rise through it. And once you learn how to rise through pain, nothing can stop you. Not fear, not failure, not the past. Because you've already walked through fire and you didn't burn. You built. You cannot become what you cannot see. Vision is the invisible blueprint that shapes your reality before it even arrives. To reinvent yourself, you must first create a clear, vivid picture of the person you want to become, the one so far beyond your current self that when you look back, you won't recognize where you started. This vision is not a vague hope or a fleeting wish. It is a detailed mental image, alive with emotion, purpose, and conviction. It's the magnet pulling you forward when the path gets dark and the excuses get loud. The power of visualization is not some mystical trick. It's psychological. Your brain can't fully tell the difference between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience. When you see yourself succeeding, confident, disciplined, and unstoppable, your mind begins to align with that version. Your thoughts, your feelings, and eventually your actions start to match the image you've created. That's how identities are formed, from the inside out. The more real your vision, the stronger the pull, the more likely you are to step into it. Living as if that vision already exists is a radical act of faith in yourself. It means speaking the language of the future, dressing in the habits of the new you, and moving through life with the confidence of someone who belongs in that elevated reality. You will have days when doubt creeps in, when the old voice whispers you're fooling yourself. But those days are part of the process. The vision will battle the past's programming. The key is to stay relentless, to keep feeding that mental image with consistency and belief, even when it feels unnatural. You have to make your vision so compelling that it becomes unbearable to settle for anything less. This means getting brutally honest about what you want, what you will sacrifice, and how far you're willing to go. The clearer the picture, the less room there is for distraction or hesitation. The vision becomes your compass in the storm, your anchor in chaos. It guides your decisions, fuels your passion, and reminds you why the pain is worth it. Remember, no one else can create this vision for you. No one else can see inside your mind and know what's possible. This is your unique journey, so hold your vision close. Guard it fiercely. Speak it often. And live as if you are already the person you are destined to become. Because in that mental commitment lies the seed of real transformation. The person you envision today will one day look back and say, I didn't just change, I became unrecognizable. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. No matter how clear your vision is or how disciplined your mind becomes, nothing changes without ruthless, consistent action. Words and plans are worthless if they never materialize. Reinvention demands that you become a doer, a relentless executor who moves forward even when the path is unclear, motivation is low, or obstacles are towering. Every step you take builds momentum. Every small victory chips away at the old you, and every decision to keep going reaffirms your commitment to transformation. Most people wait for the perfect moment to start. They wait for motivation to appear, for conditions to align, for fear to subside, but the perfect moment doesn't exist. Waiting is a disguise for fear. The truth is that action itself creates momentum, and momentum creates the conditions for success. The person you will become is not born from grand gestures or dramatic changes, but from the small choices you make every day, choices to show up, to push harder, to do what's necessary regardless of how you feel. Reinvention happens in the silence of consistent effort, the daily grind that no one sees. It's the decision to get up early, to practice, to read, to train, to persist when the world says quit. That's where real transformation is forged. Not in moments of inspiration, but in moments of perseverance. When you force yourself to take action despite doubt, discomfort, and fatigue, you break the chains of your old identity and start constructing a new one that is unshakable. You don't have to be ready. You don't have to feel capable. You just have to start. Because every action creates a new story. Every step forward is a statement to your subconscious mind that you are serious, that you are committed, and when you act first, the mind will eventually catch up and believe in your power. The magic of transformation lies in showing up and doing the work, day after day, step after step, until the person you were yesterday fades into memory and the person you are becoming stands firmly in place. Remember, action is not about perfection. It's about progress. Don't wait to feel motivated or inspired. Don't wait for conditions to be ideal. The only way to rewrite your story is to move. To do, to build. Reinvention is not a passive dream. It is an active choice made repeatedly. Choose action. Choose growth. Choose to become so relentless in your pursuit that the old you doesn't even recognize the new. Reinvention is not a game with a pause button. It is a point of no return. The moment you commit to becoming someone new, you cannot allow yourself to slip back into old patterns, old excuses, or old identities. You must burn the bridges behind you. This is not a suggestion, it is a necessity. Going back to who you were before means surrendering every step of progress you fought so hard to achieve. It means allowing the past to reclaim you, to smother your growth, to steal your future. And the most powerful way to ensure that doesn't happen is to never look back. Looking back is a betrayal to yourself. It's a sign that doubt has crept in, that fear has taken hold, that you're questioning the journey. But the truth is, once you've tasted the possibility of something greater, there is no room for hesitation. Reinvention demands that you stay moving forward, relentlessly cutting away the dead weight of your past. Every thought that pulls you backward is a chain waiting to be broken. Every moment you spend revisiting old versions of yourself is a moment lost in the fight to become new. You have to become ruthless with yourself, not cruel, but relentless. Guard your time, your habits, your mindset with fierce dedication. Protect yourself from the old influences that whisper doubt and despair. Surround yourself with reminders of who you're becoming, not who you were. The path to becoming unrecognizable is paved with continuous forward motion. Even when it's painful, even when it feels like you're losing parts of yourself, you must refuse to retreat. Because retreat is not just a physical step backward, it's a surrender of your potential. The people who succeed in reinvention don't treat it like a phase or a project. They live it as a permanent identity shift. It's not something you can dip in and out of. It's a transformation so deep that you no longer recognize your old reflection. And that shift happens when you commit to never going back, not out of stubbornness, but out of a deep knowing that your future self is worth more than your past habits.
Every time you resist the urge to turn back, you reclaim your power.
Every time you reject the safety of familiarity, you move closer to freedom. The old you will fight to survive. The new you will fight to thrive. And the only way the new you can win is if you refuse to allow the past to rewrite your future. So make the choice today. Burn the bridge, destroy the exit, and move forward with the certainty that you will never go back to who you were, because you are becoming something far greater than you ever imagined. You were never meant to blend in or play small. You were meant to rise beyond recognition, beyond the limits others set, beyond the excuses you told yourself, beyond the identity that no longer serves you. Becoming unrecognizable is not about impressing anyone else. It's not about proving a point or chasing approval. It's about finally stepping into the full expression of who you are meant to be. So powerful, so disciplined, so focused that the old you wouldn't even recognize the person you've become. This transformation demands everything from you. It demands the courage to kill every excuse, to face every fear, and to destroy every limitation that stands in your way. It demands a daily commitment to your vision, your discipline, your focus, and your relentless pursuit of growth. It demands that you show up even when you don't feel like it, that you keep moving forward even when the path is dark, and that you refuse to accept anything less than your full potential. This is not a journey for the faint of heart. It is a battle for the soul. But the reward is beyond measure. When you kill your excuses, you free yourself from the chains that have held you captive. When you reinvent yourself, you claim ownership of your destiny. You become a force that can't be stopped, a mind that won't be silenced, a spirit that refuses to be broken. You become the architect of your own life, designing a reality that aligns with your deepest values and highest ambitions. The old you will resist. That version clings to comfort, fears change, and begs you to stay small. But you have the power to choose differently. You have the power to become unrecognizable, to leave behind every limitation, every fear, every excuse that has held you hostage. And in doing so, you open the door to a life of purpose, power, and limitless possibility. So make the decision now. Kill the excuses that keep you stuck. Reinvent yourself with ruthless intention. Become so disciplined, so focused, so unstoppable that the world can no longer ignore the new you. Become unrecognizable, not for anyone else, but for yourself. Because the person you are becoming is waiting on the other side of courage. Or step into that courage, step into your power, and become the person you were always meant to be. Reinvention is not easy. It demands sacrifice, courage, and relentless discipline. But it is the only way to break free from the prison of excuses and small thinking. You have the power to become someone entirely new, a force so strong and focused that your old self becomes a distant memory. This journey won't be comfortable. It won't be quick, but it will be worth every moment of struggle. So don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the right time. The right time is now. Kill the excuses. Reinvent yourself. Become unrecognizable. Because the only thing standing between you and your greatness is the decision to change and the courage to follow through.